All righty. Welcome back, everybody, to the Red Corner. Whole gang here. Late start tonight. Late start. It is almost 11 o'clock here, Monday night. We'll give you guys a little inside baseball, or I should say inside hockey. We had a last-minute Flyers game that popped up kind of coincidentally. And the weird thing was all three of us happened to be there, and none of us went together. So it was a weird coincidence where we all ended up at the Flyers game, which is why we're recording this podcast at
my
11
second
o'clock.
Flyers game.
Second Flyers game. So the man in the orange shirt actually comes true tonight. But yeah, so that'll probably be the most hockey talk you hear ever on the show. But guys, how we doing? A lot to get into today, and I know the listeners are eagerly waiting for us to give us the Juan Soto updates. But before I do that, I have a favor. We are inching towards 1,000 subscribers. We can see it. And what I need you to do, you're already here on YouTube, right? So all you have to do is click subscribe. We see you guys. 50% of you are not subscribed, but you're still watching. So we need you to subscribe. Please like, subscribe, do all that stuff. We got the information down there for our Instagram, our Twitter, you name it. So thank you for everyone who has subscribed already. We're killing it. You know, we didn't think we'd be this close to 1,000 subscribers already. But awesome. Enough of that. Guys, let's jump right in. I'm looking at you, Slim. Give me your updated Phillies Juan Soto percentage prediction.
I'm still at 3%. Hasn't changed at all since last week.
Okay. Awesome. So you're stable. Excellent. Bones, where are we at?
What was I 30% last week?
You're at 30%.
I would go a little bit less, 25.
Okay.
Really didn't think about the Blue Jays being a contender in this thing, but they could possibly be with the Mets.
Yeah, that kind of threw me through a loop as well. But John Middleton had that big quote, right? Quote being, he thinks that Soto wants to stay in New York, and he doesn't mind being a stalking horse. And I'll be honest, I don't know if that's just a rich guy saying, or if it's a guy who bets horses. Bones, I know you're in that realm. Is that a common phrase? I get it with the context, but what's the deal with explain that to us.
No, I think it's a rich man's.
That's a rich man saying. Yeah.
Maybe for them, the rich owners, but
yeah,
not a horse saying.
Okay, I figured it's just like the horse that's not quite obviously in first, and he's just staring down the leader, right?
Yep.
All right. So that in mind, I'm going down to 1%. I was at 12. I'm going back down to 1%. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Middleton coming out and saying that, right? I just don't know what is he playing, right? Is he playing coy? Is he playing poker? I don't know why he would say he wants to stay in New York and we're a stalking horse. You know, if he doesn't think we're really going to get him. So I'm down to 1%.
Yeah, and there was like a report out of I think it was like 7 teams that reached out to Boris, and the Phillies weren't one of them teams of the 7. So,
yeah, that's not promising.
I think right now the show stealer is John Middleton. Again, he's out in the press. He's talking, like you said, is this a rich man thing? Is this a rich board man thing? Because I don't know. He's really. I do like it a lot. It's fresh. It gives us something to talk about. But I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to psychoanalyze now, John Middleton, and I've never been here before. With the Phillies, really, this is more like an Eagles type of thing. But now I'm really starting to think, why is he giving so many interviews? I like he's talking like he's the second or third girl invited to the dance when he's talking about waiting outside New York City. So that's not a good sign. But with that said, we have some details, Devo. I'm not sure if you want to share it now or later, but I think this goes into the new owners that we got a couple weeks ago, or that we got last week. We do know that Middleton gave up a small fraction of his ownership, not a big
Yep.
portion, and that these people bought in. Correct me if I'm wrong. At $500 million extra.
Correct.
With that being said, if he doesn't think we're getting, or we're going to sit there and wait for Soto, we had the buy-in because we want to get free agents. What else is out there? And the second piece, I want to throw it back to you, Dev, I would think, because you mentioned last week he had that caveat in the first story, and now that we found out he gave up another piece, or he gave up a small piece, you can see why he gave us that little prepper last week.
Yeah, no, 100%. It is kind of like a mind game, right? And it's now that we've been entrenched in this podcast world where we're really following everything even closer than what we would have previously. We're kind of brought in on how much of a roller coaster this really is, right? Like if you talked to us last week, it's like, oh man, I think we're a decent player. Like when Bones said 30%, I got excited because obviously I respect his opinion on this. But now I'm like 30%. I think that's crazy, right? Like it's just a week ago. But to your point, we're talking about the percentages. We're talking about $600 million being injected, all while we're having all these organizational changes that we're going to get into, right? And you think Juan Soto gets announced as, obviously the big free agent, and then the Phillies make these ownership changes. We're like, it's got to be because of that. It's got to be. And now it doesn't seem like it is at all. So it's been, a mind bender for sure. Yeah, but I mean, before we kind of you teed us up nicely there, Slim. Before we jump into just some Phillies trade rumors and touch on our poll of the week, any other finishing thoughts on the ever-going Juan Soto saga?
Not on Juan Soto. Again, I don't think we have a high likelihood of getting him, which I think is going to be beneficial. I think we're going to be able to spread the wealth. Nice.
Awesome. Thank you. So let's jump on into our poll of the week, and then we're going to talk just some trade rumors. So we had a really good turnout on the poll of the week, which the question was very simple. We listed 4 players for the Phillies. The 4 players were Alec Bohm, Nick Castellanos, Ranger Suarez, and Bryson Stott, right? That's simple. And we said, which of these players do you most likely think the Phillies are going to trade this offseason? And we had a lot of respondents, and I did not see this coming. So it was overwhelmingly 90% Alec Bohm, with the other 10 being Ranger Suarez. Bones, did that surprise you at all?
The Suarez, no, actually, because last year they gave Sanchez the extension in the middle of the season. I believe this upcoming season will be Rangers' last on his contract.
I think that's correct, but we'll confirm for next episode. But I'm pretty sure that's correct.
His value is, if he was to stay healthy, get rid of him now because you got Painter, and if they're like talking about the White Sox pitcher in trade rumors, like why not trade Suarez? He's a good postseason pitcher, as you've seen this year.
Yeah.
Didn't pitch well in the second half of the season, but in that playoff game, you wouldn't have known that.
Completely agree.
So I think his value, that's an arm to get like a younger piece, maybe throw in together to get somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Slim, looking at you, what was your thoughts on the 90-10 reaction from Bohm and Suarez?
I thought it made sense. We know that we're looking to acquire a third baseman potentially. When it comes to Suarez, I still think he has value to this team, particularly. I believe that, like we saw in the playoffs, even next year, if he has to dirty his way through 5 innings, we're going to be able to rely on that. You guys, it's been a theme that when we talk about Painter, I'm expecting Painter to come closer to, I don't want to say the All-Star. I'll say the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
Which at that point, Suarez could be a nice little bridge if we have an acquisition for a pitcher, especially someone who's cheap. I don't know. We're going to have a lot of flexibility, especially when if other teams like the Dodgers who are trying to reload their pitching arsenal. So with that being said, I wouldn't want to be trading any pitchers right now.
Right.
It makes sense to trade Bohm.
Yeah. So my gut reaction was I was not surprised that Bohm got the majority of the respondents, but I didn't expect Castellanos to have zero, given all of the headlines that he gets. So when I saw him zero and Stott zero, less surprised there. And then seeing Ranger get some of that. Overall,
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
surprising.
Yeah, I thought that was surprising.
That's real
for sure.
So he's a fan favorite. There's no doubt. Middleton was talking about approaches again in that article.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think he was talking about Turner. I think he was probably talking. He could also have been talking about Castellanos or a few of these guys, saying the old dogs, new tricks, that type of, type of deal. So I don't know. I'm interesting, and it's starting to see, especially with Turner. I know he wasn't included in the broadcast, but he's such a interesting player, and because it seems right now we're getting we got two different messages from Dombrowski and from Middleton. Middleton is talking about the approach. You assume talking about Turner at the lead, up at the leadoff spot, and then when we hear Dombrowski talk, it's all glory be to Trey Turner.
100%. 100%.
With that being said, again, it's very interesting to see what character. Because if it's just like TV show Succession, right? That's what I'm on season 2 now. So I'm viewing it. I'm viewing this. It's like, all right, what's his role in the family? He has it's cool to have a baseball team, and not just a baseball team, but a baseball team in a city where.
And you're talking about Middleton right now, right?
Middleton. I'm talking about Middleton.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's flamboyant. Not he's the more public. He's very public, I would say, and very honest.
Yeah, direct. As the years go on, he's serious. As the years go on, I think he's slow. He was a mystery in the beginning, right? And then as the years have gone on, he's definitely getting more public. I'm sure he's getting more comfortable doing it. But no, before we touch on a very specific trade rumor that's floating around there, you said it, so I have to address it now. So Middleton in a recent interview with the Athletic, Matt Gelb, he said the old dogs are going to have to learn new tricks. And you already hit on the one. I have two people that come to mind when I hear that. Number one, you already hit on, spot on, Trey Turner. Now, this is less of the case because he's not much of an old dog, but I feel like he's talking about Alec Bohm, right? Those were two guys. And the reason I say Alec Bohm, because Bohm, and Bones, I'm going to send this over to you. Bohm said during the postseason, right after it, in the interviews, he said, "That's who I am. I'm not going to change who I am as a hitter. That's just how I go up there. I go up there to swing the bat." And anyone who watched that was like, "Oh, not what you wanted to say there." And that rubbed Middleton the wrong way. So, Bones, did you have a similar reaction from that?
Yeah, definitely, because he was obviously after that he was all pissed off. That was one of the main reasons I want to get rid of him.
Yeah,
because he's like a big baby. So, and I think that, like Chris said, how outspoken Middleton and his honesty is. He's coming right for him.
Right.
So it's either you're going to change or we're going to make a change.
Right. Do the math. Yep. He's not talking about, he's talking about those two, right? Those are the guys that it's been a consistent playoff thing. I mean, Bohm wasn't that bad in the playoffs historically, but down the stretch this year, he struggled.
Yeah.
Turner, obviously. So, yeah, it's just clear that, and he cited, not to get too in the weeds on that, but he cited a conversation that he had with Mike Schmidt back in 2011, which I thought was really interesting. I'll share it. So, Roy Halladay was out there throwing, a great game. John Middleton was in a suite sitting next to Roy Halladay's father. He said to Roy Halladay's father, how many of these pitches did you teach him that he still has? And his father said, very humbly, none. Because when he got to the big leagues, Roy, who eventually, as you all know, he got sent down back to the minors in the middle of his career, right? He had to relearn everything. So his father basically said, he's a new pitcher now. The guy that you see now, I had very little to do with. So Middleton was kind of taken back by that, right? So then he was sitting next to Mike Schmidt, and he said, Mike, do you believe this, that his father's saying he didn't teach him any of this? And Schmidt said, oh, yeah, 100%. I changed my swing probably 3 or 4 times. You have to make adjustments. The pitchers figure you out, and then you make adjustments. And this is the greatest third baseman of all time saying this. And then we have the Alec Boehms and Trey Turners of the world who aren't making the adjustments. That just stuck out like a sore thumb, and he cited that in the interview.
Yeah.
I hear that. I'm all, I cry and moan about the chase rates, and all that kind of stuff, and going down with the outside pitches the last 2 years. But it goes back and forth when we talk about your actual swing. I feel like, again, I'm not a aficionado, but
right.
when you on that same Phillies team, and it's a TikTok, Instagram reel, YouTube short that goes around. When Pete Rose was on Baseball Tonight, he said he tells people to never change their swing. You just got to change, your positioning in the box or your hand positioning or something a little bit more simple, something more fundamental instead of maybe if you're more of a chop swinger compared to a long, more to like a long stroke. But with that being said, they do got to change, and I think it's more so just being known the situational of it. You don't have to really change that much. If we need, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to get into the fundamentals of how to hit a baseball. Where that was never my strong point. But yeah, I don't know, because again, it seems like Middleton is almost coming out and just, how did we get Bryce Harper? Right, we got him on the Twitter pool, right? That whole thing. Now we got Middleton again, almost like throwing fuel to the flames of what we love to hear. So I think it just really is an interesting dynamic, because Dombrowski came out and for sure was backing up Boehm again. Because then on the other hand, we have this character in Middleton now who's out and about saying, pretty much talking like he's on 94-1. And on the other hand, why would he give up our cards?
Well, yeah, and to be clear, not to cut you off, he didn't explicitly say Boehm or Turner, right? We're just reading between the lines there.
Right.
But
those are the two biggies.
Yeah.
But it seems, and if we're all assuming that, how does that impact his value, Boehm's value then? If the owner's coming out and acting like you're
thick-headed.
So yeah, someone that he can push around. It's just an interesting thing.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point. Like there is a fine line of being too outspoken for sure.
And yeah, I don't know. We're not talking player empowerment in MLB. Boehm is in the wrong league.
100%. All right, Bones, I'm looking at you here. We were talking about one left-handed pitcher in Ranger Suarez. Let's talk about another, and that's Crochet from the White Sox. So Bob Nightingale of USA Today reported that the Phillies have been aggressively pursuing him. Keep it simple here, guys. Are you in or are you out? And you could also give a contingency, right? I'm in on this basis. So again, Bones, where are you at on him?
I'm not in. I'm out on him.
Okay.
especially after last year, all the like demands he was making, like at the trade
Yes.
deadline, like, oh yeah, I want a contract extension. I want this. I want that. The guy didn't even pitch like 100 and like it's the first time he ever pitched more than whatever amount of innings he did, and he's already making demands. Like
Yeah.
we just went through like Suarez. Like this is the first time, and uh, he pitched the most innings that he's pitched whatever in the first half. Then all of a sudden he gets hurt, and he's not the same pitcher. And like coming into this season, we're like, oh,
Right.
we got Suarez. He's stayed over here. He didn't have no visa issues this year, so he's in camp on time, looking better than ever. And it looked like it was going that way. And then all of a sudden, you hit. Apparently, he had like dead arm and all the other stuff. So now I'm out on him, especially if they want like some of the like they were saying like Aiden Miller, the other shortstop that they have down in the minors. He's like their third prospect, and maybe another guy going after him. I'm like, nah, that's way too much for a guy that's unproven to me on a shitty baseball team for the White Sox.
Yeah, and then before I bounce it over to you, Slim, Bones, refresh my memory. I might be mixing this up with another trade deadline pitching rumor, but was Crochet the guy that was being super picky on his innings?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that rubbed me the wrong way because
yes,
that's
that's
such
him.
a okay. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
he didn't want to be on like on an innings limit. He wanted to be guaranteed no innings limit. He wanted a contract extension.
yeah.
So yeah,
Right, like you don't make all these demands, man. Like you said, it's not like you're coming from a pennant-winning powerhouse or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Worst team in baseball history.
Right. All right, Slim. I think you might be on the other side of this. Am I right?
100%. I totally disagree. You're correct. He's on the worst team in baseball history. He's likely to win the Cy Young. Correct me not.
What?
No,
He's going.
No.
no,
No.
no,
No.
no.
Who is the
Not even
favorite?
close. The worst, the worst
Oh, it's the
team in
Tigers. My
baseball is
apologies.
when
Yeah.
the Cy Young. Come on.
That was about to be my point. That was about to
Okay.
be my point. But regardless, when you say
You like him regardless.
well, no. Besides that, so listen to the facts. He had a great season. He's Cy Young. If he's on a good team, he's Cy Young worthy. He's only $2.9 million. So we get him. We can sign him for a long-term deal. Anytime we had these diva
That's
pitchers,
the point.
anytime they make demands, usually it's beneficial for the team. And secondly, he's fresh bones because he hasn't had that many seasons. This is like first real year. He had Tommy John. He came off
Yeah,
of
because he
Tommy
can't stay
John's.
healthy.
He came off of Tommy John. He's on the worst team in baseball. He kept himself healthy. He had a great season, and now he's looking to get paid, and he's looking to go to a winner. That's
good.
common sense. That's a guy
We
you
got a guy
draft.
coming off Tommy John too. His name's Andy Painter.
We're going to need two guys. And here's the other thing. We're going to need two more guys for the next generation. These guys are in their 20s. They're not as old as Wheeler and Nolan. And we're going to need to be battling, like I said earlier in the show, with the Dodgers and their arms. So I think I don't know. I wouldn't want to trade one of those. Definitely not Painter. Definitely not Crawford because he plays. I want to trade Crawford. I don't want to trade Miller. But right now, if that's the deal, I press send right away, and I roll in next season with Wheeler, Crochet, Nola, Suarez, and then with Painter coming in. That's absolutely disgusting. And we can battle with anybody. Because here's the other thing when it comes to when we want to go back to hypocrisy with the batting approaches, which I know I've been heavy on, but now I kind of want to bring it back because now Middleton and everyone's bagging on each other. Hitting is timely. Right? It's a timely thing sometimes. So pitching isn't, defense isn't. And I'm going to stay with the theme I said in the beginning of the year, I want to build defensively and I want to get the better pitching. So I would go out for $3 million. I would easily get a stud pitcher like that. I would easily trade Miller and go from there. You know, we still have the buy-in from this real estate family, and we still got an extra few bucks to make a big splash somewhere else.
That was a lot of
A big
bigs there.
splash.
Okay, cool. So
Because
that's going to be one.
we
Yeah.
had to sign him, but we would still be saving. It wouldn't be as fat of a lump sum if he was already established. If that makes any sense.
I think it's just too much for him.
Miller, if it's one guy,
It was three of the
not,
top 10 prospects.
it was 3 of the top 10.
Yeah.
But it wasn't any of the top 3.
Aiden Miller.
All right, so it was Miller with 2 more.
Miller. No, and the third guy too. It was Miller, the shortstop. I forget his name.
Is that Kaba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do it, man. Unless that dude Cabal's like a
and I
great
think the
hitter
catcher
too or something.
I think the catcher was in there.
Tate.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, that's a haul. I think that one of the biggest factors here is, do we get at least a hybrid of somewhere in the middle of what Ranger was, right? He had the classic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde year last year. He went from Cy Young to, I don't even know what you want to say, the second half of the year. But we need somewhere in the middle. So if we can get that, we don't necessarily need him. That's where I stand on that. But Slim, I'm with you on the fact that strikeouts are great, control, and he's and age too. So,
but I don't think starting pitching was our problem. Our problem was the bullpen and hitting. So that's what you got to focus on.
We talked about the starting pitching. We were was it on the show or was it just in text when we were talking about Game 3, Game 4, Sanchez here, Sanchez there? We don't know where to play Suarez. We don't have this dude. We don't have that guy. We need more arms, especially if other teams are going to be loading up. You never know when it's going to get chintzy. Look what happened with the Braves and Mets on that Monday doubleheader, or they had a Sunday doubleheader, or what was it? Whatever. It was chintzy as heck.
No, you're right. All right, boys, we got to keep it moving here. We got to keep it moving.
One last thing before we move on to that, though. When you're in a race like this, you have to make the timely moves, right? Because if we have all these prospects come up, they might be great when the team stinks. So how about we trade prospects to get great players in when the team is basically already great? Now we can move on.
No, that's the classic strategy, and we've done that in the past for sure. But let's move on. And this next one was an interesting one, right? So this news actually broke, and we're going to give a little shout out here. During the wedding of Slim's brother over the weekend, Ryan. So congratulations to your little brother Ryan on the marriage. We had a great time at his wedding, and this is going to be a double congratulations because actually today is Veterans Day. So Ryan is a veteran, so happy Veterans Day to him and to all veterans. Yes, freedom ain't free. Thank you all for your service. And this is a Support the Troops show. So thank you very much for that. Boys, this much to do about nothing? These organizational changes. I'll give a quick background. Sam Fold, the current GM, is kind of stepping down into a hybrid GM role. He's pursuing his MBA at Wharton, which he will finish in May 2026. At that time, he will step into the chief business role, president of business operations. Replacing him will be Preston Mattingly, son of Don Mattingly, MLB legend. Preston is currently one of our farm heads who's very much respected in the organization. You hear nothing but good things about him. He's stepping into the GM hybrid role. Bones, I'm looking at you here. What do you make of all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, Matt, like you said, Mattingly is well respected across the board. One of the big guys in the what the hell is it called? The
farm system
analytics department.
Yeah. Yep.
So they brought him in a couple years ago, and you could see the talent that they're producing down in the minors now, and he has a big role to do with that. So I think it's a good move, and then this will I guess it will be like fading out Dombrowski a a little bit into that, like where he's the president now, basically the GM, where Fold isn't. He's just hanging back with a title.
Right.
But as we were talking the other night, like, wouldn't be surprised if this has something to do with like a Nashville team coming up again, and Dabrowski is part of the ownership group there, so has to like maybe this is like a little way out type deal.
Yeah, when this was originally announced, I misread it, and Bones had to correct me. I thought this was basically announcing that Fold will be stepping in as the president of baseball operations for Dombrowski, but he's stepping into the business operations role. So I misread that originally. Slim, what were your thoughts on this one?
Again, since I don't know too much of their interpersonal relationships and stuff, it seems like the Phillies are always thinking ahead. It seems like they knew this was going to be coming up. It seems like they have, like Bones was saying, secession lined up potentially. Right. So I do like to just know that the organization is forward thinking. They're not just thinking about the right now, even though I think we should trade Ada Miller and go for the World Series. Yeah, so that's basically it for me. It's just nice to know the changes. With that being said, I don't know what their day-to-days look like, but I hope with the new roles they don't change too much of what they do well in whatever capacity it is that they work in. So hopefully they're all hopefully a lot of these changes and title changes are just a lot of that, and they were already all kind of on the same page, moving towards the same goals to begin with. So, and it seems like that.
Yeah, well said. All right, we'll keep an eye on that as we move forward here. But let's move into let's go in the kitchen, boys. In the kitchen, and let's let Slim and Bones cook here. Slim, let's stay with you. What do you got for us this week? What do you want to cook on?
Oh man, off the top of the dome, really. I think just take it general. We're in the middle of football season, and the hottest thing that I talk to people around is the Phillies still. The Phillies, the baseball in general, I think, is in an uptick in this city.
It does feel like that way, right? Like, I know we're deep into it because I almost hesitate to bring that up because I know I've always been pro baseball. But listen, Philadelphia, obviously, there's always going to be an Eagles town to an extent, but it does feel like the Eagles, not that they aren't still, on fire, but it seems like the Phillies have taken a little bit. Is that right, Slim?
It's absolutely. If it's 1%, 0.5%, they've taken definitely
exactly
some of the discourse leading into. You got to think we're in November. It's Thanksgiving coming up. I think there's two big reasons for that. One is the winter meetings, the hot stove.
Mm-hmm.
MLB the Philly in general does a really good job of keeping us entertained with the free agency, with the move making. So that's one thing that's always present. The second thing is, and I'm not going to talk much on it, it's just the NFL product, especially this year. I think speechless. So let's get back to the Phillies.
You know where I stand on that. Bones, what do you got for us, baby?
I think it's a Juan Soto factor, like potentially getting him as like the buzz is still keeping around, even though, especially with everything like going on, like we said. But we didn't touch on it last week. Scott Kingery.
Oh wow, yeah.
So we'll bring that up since Scott Kingery is no longer with the Phillies. Traded to the Angels, and he was our young stud. Didn't play a game in the majors. Gave him a 5-year, $52 million contract or something like that.
52 million?
Was it? No, 24 million.
Okay.
Could have went up to 52 if he would have stayed playing, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, it was, and that was like one of only, like, I'm going to be wrong on the number, but it might have been like 2 or 3 other contracts ever in Major League history that were like that. Like a guy who truly never played a day in the majors, right?
Yeah.
And Kingery, get Bones.
And then you go and look at like the Braves organization. This is how shitty that the Phillies were a couple years ago. They go and make this deal for Scott Kingery. Then you go to the Braves. They got like 7 dudes signed up for the next 10 years for not much more than what Scott Kingery was getting.
Yeah, that Acuna deal is ridiculous. Now, Kingery, I mean, he was a guy, Scotty Jetpacks, right, as he went by. He was a guy that was here during a dark time. He was someone to get excited about, right? He could go out there, play multiple positions.
And I think that's what killed him.
A lot of people think that's what killed him. Gabe Kapler, did not serve him well on that. It's a shame, right? Classic. He strikes out a lot. He couldn't kind of get the approach down. Then he goes down to the minors and he rakes. He had a phenomenal year. Home runs. I think he hit like 25, 30 homers down in Lehigh Valley this year. He was a cool guy, played it the right way. Just couldn't get it going. I'm glad you brought him up.
You think we'll see him get some games ever with the Angels?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
I doubt it.
I think he will. You doubt it? Nothing?
Yeah. He won't last long. He's just a minor league guy.
I got Scott hitting a homer this year for the Angels.
I can see him hitting a homer.
Hit the future on that.
We'll set an over-under on that, though.
All right, let's
when we get closer.
see where it's at.
All right, baby. Let's get to the pack opening raffle. Slim, what do you got for us? Let's get that going.
All right, let's go. Fresh pack. All right. Ooh, our run leaders. Garrett Cole and Blake Snell.
Okay. Garrett Cole. A lot
Free agent Blake Snell.
Ronald Acuna Jr.
Just talking about him.
That's signed.
These are all signed. Every single one has a signature, like last time. Liam Hendricks.
Beat cancer. Good for him.
Yep.
I think I'm going to say if they're good or if they stink after every time. Carlos Estevez.
Uh-oh.
He's good.
There we go. Future Yankee?
John Gray. Stinks.
Yep.
Stinks.
Nah.
You like
Injuries
him?
hurt that guy.
Robert Garcia.
Never heard him.
Stinks.
Still no Philly. What card was that? That the fourth one? That's 13 cards through, and we haven't gotten any Phillies yet. All right, let's go. Oh, that's 15 cards.
Red Show and Heich. I can't. We're going to get our baseball historian on here, Brian White.
Hold on. For content purposes, give us your best effort at saying that name.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
Reggio hides in Dynus. Reggio hides in Dynus.
Let me see it.
You probably know how to say it. It's probably.
Was he a manager?
Yeah, there's a couple classic. These ones are silly.
Oh, very cool.
Margaret. I'm not saying her. I got a speech impediment, so I'm not.
Mark Shot.
Margaret. You're not going to believe who it is. It's Margaret Thatcher.
Oh yeah, they have a couple of those goofy ones in there. All right, I was not expecting a Margaret Thatcher.
Okay, here's somebody who's actually good. Parker Meadows, good.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry, fans. Next week, I promise you, third week, we're going to pull a Philly. I have a feeling we're going to pull someone who's going to get traded, like Brandon Marsh.
All right, so you heard it there. So this is not like a gimmick here. There just has not been any Phillies pulled yet. So tune in next week, where, like Slim said, that might be the week. But let's transition here.
There are news flashbacks.
Is that what that was? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that was like a classic theme. All right, let's do subscriber questions here, boys. All righty. Pull them up. We got some good ones this week. All right, let's start with you, Bones.
All right.
This is from Richie on Substack. Who is your all-time favorite Phillies pitcher?
Easy. Hollywood Hamels.
Hollywood Hamels. Yep, I knew you were going to say that one. What about you? Just because this is a quick hitter, you have anyone you want to say, Slim?
Probably Cliff Lee,
That's a cool one.
Hamels, and Holiday. All three of those, all for different reasons.
Sure. Okay, so looking at you, Slim. This is from Roger on Substack. This week was very heavy on Substack, so thank you everyone for putting it in there. That was a lot to get through. So, Slim, bigger hole to fill. Back end of the Phillies bullpen or left field? Yeah, geez, that was a pause of the century there.
Left field, I believe Estevez coming in the ninth is fine. I believe in our relievers.
Well, we have to fill that hole because Estevez is not on the team.
Did he get signed?
No, he's a free agent.
He's a free agent.
Yeah, I would re-sign him.
Okay, so you're saying, so what's the bigger priority in your opinion?
To re-sign the closer.
Okay, all right, I'm with you on that.
So not left field.
Not left field. I mean, the bigger question mark's left field.
Well, you're right. I got you. All right, so this is a final here, and this is very topical. So this is Brett via Substack, and both of you will get this, but we'll start with you, Bones. Any theories on why the Phillies haven't had success with signing Japanese players historically?
Yeah, it's way too far from over in Asia.
Yeah.
We're
Simple
on
as
the other
the geographic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, too far. Huge culture shock. I mean, one way I would describe it, and it's been described to me, is we eat sandwiches here, and they don't have to eat sandwiches over in California. So it's just an easier transition altogether, I would feel like. And it's been like that.
They don't eat sandwiches in California. Oh man.
Correct. Yeah. Think about how many cheesesteaks. It's funny. We just had, like I said, we were at the wedding. People were talking, and they were like, "Oh, a lot of people that were out of towners were saying they're definitely going to get a cheesesteak." I said, it's funny. Everyone always talks about the cheesesteaks, but it's true. I probably eat like 2 to 3 cheesesteaks a week. So the sandwich eating is much higher in Philly than California. You know, they're eating with forks and knives, maybe with their hand, with forks and knives more on plates, and we're eating. You know.
No, but the bigger point that you're making is the geographic component, right? And Philadelphia does not have a large Japanese presence, right? We have a lot of Asian communities in the city, a lot, but Japan is not a large contingent of that.
Plus, I think it's just that the Dodgers are the big market, like
100%.
Because you got now you got Ohtani and.
Right. After it's a ripple effect. After you get one, they get known to be that team. I mean, it didn't work with the Angels because they were no good. But it's like, we got Ohtani. Now if you're a Japanese player, you're going to want to go where your role models went to.
Yeah, and like the Yankees, they had what's his name? Guy that killed us, Hideki Matsui.
Yeah.
And then Tanaka went there, and then you go to like Boston. These were the good teams back in the middle of 2000s, like spending money, and they had Matsuzaka.
100%. So that in mind, you don't believe that the Phillies have a realistic chance at Sasaki, the 23-year-old current prospect?
No, because one, they're all in the same playing field. Like they can only offer him so much money.
Right.
So it's because he's below 25 years old.
I know.
So like now he's at like a salary limit. I think it's like $7 million. like 7.9 million. That's the most they can offer him. So he's going to go where Otani's at and the other guy.
Right. And then he'll sign a monster deal in a couple of years.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So this has been a fun episode. Let's end like we always do with On This Day in Phillies History.
There's not really a lot going on today in Phillies history. Phillies re-signed Marlon Byrd on this day in 2013. Well, not re-signed him, but came back for his second stint with the Phillies.
Oh,
Marlon Byrd, nice.
Marlon Byrd. He was
Yeah.
close to
Forgot
a
he had
rookie
two
year
stints.
candidate back in the day.
he was a fun player. He
Very
was kind
fun.
of like he was kind of like a Brandon Marsh type.
And then happy birthday to Matt Strahm.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Matt
birthday, Matt
Strahm.
Strahm. We're going to
30,
need you next year.
33.
33. Okay. Awesome. All right,
It starts our birthday week. Well,
Yeah.
Devin's, well, that's next week, next Sunday.
Yeah, we got some
We should be
birthdays coming
recording
up.
on my birthday.
Oh, yeah, Monday. Yeah, because I'm
Alright, so I'll
Sunday.
wear my birthday.
Hat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for not your birthday suit, but your hat. So listeners, we're going to end on this and let you all know that we are 3 Scorpios. So our birthdays are basically 3 in a row. So I'm the 17th, Slim is the 18th, and Bones is the 20th. So we are 3 Scorpios. So shout out to all of our Scorpio brothers and sisters out there. Guys, this was a fun week. We went a little bit longer because we wanted to give you guys a treat. We made you wait longer this week. Shout out to everyone who's going to watch this one tonight. If not, enjoy this on the ride home tomorrow, on the ride to work tomorrow morning. We are out, and we will see you next week.